Police are on the lookout for drunk drivers this holiday weekend. The Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign starts today. Governor Cuomo says state troopers will conduct sobriety checkpoints and time watch for reckless and aggressive driving everywhere in New York State. Troopers investigated almost 200 crashes during the 4th of July weekend last year. Let's go. This is the first rock.
So there's a huge debate onto whether or not drunk driving laws actually work in this country. And as a libertarian, I always want the government to get out of our bedrooms and out of our pockets as much as possible. So today we're going to talk about whether or not drunk driving laws actually work. Now, first off, I really want to start off with the constitutionality of it. DUI checkpoints, in my mind, are unconstitutional, especially when it comes to the Fourth Amendment, because when you think about it, it violates the Fourth Amendment. It gets citizens to be stopped by the government even though they have done nothing wrong. So it's basically an invalidated traffic stop for people who haven't even been committed of not only a crime but a traffic violation. And, what is one of the first things the police ask? Are you drunk? And unless you can prove that, then why the hell are you asking? So I think this violates the Fourth Amendment heavily. So and don't get me wrong, if there's reckless driving, there should be consequences for reckless driving. Let's get that out of the way right now. I don't think people should be able to drive if they're a danger to people. But the problem is that these laws, they arrest innocent people who aren't even drunk. And the problem with the 0.08% is that everybody's body reacts differently to alcohol. So if somebody is over 0.08% and they're not even drunk, I mean, then what sense does that make? Why are we arresting people who are capable of driving? Like the 0.08%, there's so many people. I mean, 300 pounders can go way above 0.8%. I mean, 0.08%. The alcohol deaths dropped significantly since 1980, and this law didn't take effect until 2000. And in fact, it increased for a little bit once this happened. The alcohol-related alcohol-related traffic fatalities dropped by 53% between 1982 and 2011. So that's 53%. That's a huge, huge decrease. But the idea that these laws are the reason why this happened, it doesn't correlate with the fact that this has been declining since 1982. Don't get me wrong, drunk driving campaigns were probably helped with the increasing a little bit, but this was already decreasing beforehand. So people who are actually sleep deprived are more of a danger than people with 0.08%. Because if you're tired, despite how big you are, like, you're a danger. And we've had multiple cases where people have fell asleep behind a wheel. But it has shown that sleep deprivation is much more dangerous. Police can forcibly draw blood. Once again, goes back to the Fourth Amendment. How can the police be able to do that, especially when there's no probable cause that you are, in fact, recklessly driving? The Fourth Amendment is important. The Fourth Amendment protects our properties, including our identity, including our DNA. So this is a huge government interference that should be stopped ASAP. So another thing is the local roadblocks. So instead of police officers actually being on the roads and getting reckless drivers, instead now we have about 10, 20 of them in a specific area, and now instead of actually getting bad guys, getting people who are actually recklessly driving. Now they are questioning people unconstitutionally and getting people to self incriminate themselves as well. So this doesn't work at all because now we don't have any police officers on the actual road actually getting people. Now they're all secluded in one area. The other fact is, and I just thought this was somewhat interesting, according to the U.S. Government Accountability Research Office, only about 20% of DWI offenders mandated to install an IDD, an ignition interlock service, actually do so, which are basically the mandated breathalyzers that they have for people who are convicted of DWIs. So I think it's important we understand that there's a difference between public safety and just putting in laws that don't actually work. If we're going to have laws, we need to make sure that not only do they secure the safety of us, they don't violate our rights, but they also work. Because if our rights are going to be violated, then we should have a reason for those rights to be violated. We shouldn't be basing it just on unproven theory. I get we want people to be safe. We want people to be secure, but we have to have a huge line between uh, government overreach and civil liberties. We need to have laws in place that protect both, and that is why we should get rid of most, if not all, drunk driving laws.